Upon exiting the village and walking for several minutes so that it was barely seen in the distance, he turned around and looked at the other three. Though walking sounds fun, in theory, I think it may be better for us to travel on something with wheels. Twirling his finger, Han made a pitch-black carriage appear. In front of the carriage was a 4-footed dragon, slightly larger than a horse. Walking up to the dragon, Han scratched it behind its ears, as if it was a giant cat. The dragon made a purring noise, indicating its enjoyment of affection and attention. In the driver's seat was a mature-looking woman dressed in a steampunk-looking driver's outfit. Looking at her, Han said, "You'll be named Andrea, and from now on, you'll be my personal chauffeur." Andrea bowed her head, acknowledging her master's command. Like all of his creations, she had decent combat ability. Instead of having a weapon, Andrea would be able to use close combat techniques. She would be similar to a monk in most MMORPG games, so even her clothing had high magical and physical defense, and gloves with ridiculous attack power. Part of him wanted to see a monster attack them, so he could watch Andrea dominate them. To help her with being a chauffeur, she could sense her surroundings, a nearly 500 miles away detection spear. In addition to being able to detect oncoming attacks, this ability will allow her to map out the surroundings. If she's given a destination, she would be able to determine an optimal navigational route quickly. He also designed her to take in the ambient mana in the world as nourishment. This way, Andrea wouldn't need to rest or eat, though she could if she wanted to, making her the most OP professional driver if you include all her abilities. Helania moved to open up the door into the carriage so that they could enter. The interior was spacious and plush. There were leather sofas, a leather chair, coffee tables, and mini dining area. This was not the usual transportation and used the same ability as a stronghold, where the exterior did not reflect the interior. From the outside, the size of the vehicle looked like a common carriage you would expect on Earth, but the inside was the size of a decent-sized pool house. There were plenty of windows so that you could view the outside of the carriage, but since the interior was like a separate dimension, there was no feeling of motion. It felt like when someone watched the TV of someone traveling, where the experience felt surreal. Glancing over, he curiously watched Elsie's expression and enjoyed how she marveled about everything. "Brittany, bring some refreshments and fruit here," he ordered. Sitting down on the leather seat, he enjoyed the way the leather cushions embraced him. This seat gave him a full view of the carriage's interior, the way the landscape passed by. It made him feel like he was going backward. Helania and Queen sat on the sofa to his left, opposite of the entrance, while Ellis sat by herself on the couch to his right. The way the interior was set up looked similar to those large expensive RVs that politicians used as they crossed the country for national elections. The difference was that this place didn't have beds and kitchens, just having a lounge and dining area. Part of him felt like he should materialize a cigar, since it looked like those upscale cigar lounges he and his friends would frequent during college. They would pretend to be wealthy CEOs as they checked out the serving girls, who wore skimpy outfits since that's what rich old guys like to look at. After some time, Brittany materialized with a large tray with a large bowl, with 4 smaller empty plates of fruits and 4 glasses, filled with some kind of beverage. She placed the tray on top of the coffee table and proceeded to bring each of them a drink. Seeing that his chair didn't have a glass holder, he modified the leather seat to have one. Taking the glass out of the cup holder, he tasted the liquid and thought it similar to a traditional sweet tea. He saw Brittany begin to dish out various fruits into each of the empty bowls. She walked over and placed the plate on the small seat table on his left side. In the bowl was sliced strawberries, honeydew, pineapple, and apples. There was also grapes, which was still on the vine. Once Brittany completed her task of distributing the dishes to everyone, she came over and stood next to him on his left side. "Master, if you would like, I can feed you the fruits for your convenience," Brittany shyly asked him, trying to look professional. Even though she didn't need to do this, it was a nice feeling that she wanted to spoil him. He wondered if this was how Roman emperors felt, having people feed them snacks into their mouth. Sliding his hand up her skirt and groping her butt, he nodded his consent. From the way she quivered, Han could tell that she was happy being able to personally serve him. When she placed one of the grapes into his mouth, he enjoyed how juicy and sweet the fruit was. When she placed one of the grapes into his mouth, he enjoyed how juicy and sweet the fruit was. Looking at the world outside and enjoying the food going into his lips. "Ellis, are you enjoying yourself?" he asked his new traveling companion, who was blissfully eating the fruit. Blushing from being asked so suddenly, as she was gorging on exquisite fruits, she said, "My lord, I have never eaten such sweet fruits in my entire life. Even this carriage looks magical, how it is so much larger inside compared to how it looks from the outside." Her innocent wonder was very endearing and made him happy that he was able to show someone in this world such happiness. Just having this power and hogging it for only himself and his creations didn't seem like the right thing to do. It would be good to show off to at least a few humans, or non-humans, his wealth and power. Didn't everyone enjoy showing off now and then? He thought to himself. "It's a simple ability of mine. I'm happy that you're enjoying it. Don't hold yourself back if you feel yourself being thirsty or hungry. The food is something we have plenty in stock, so if there's a particular meal you enjoy, just let me know." Thinking about it for a second, Han said, "Brittany, have 2 maids come here to look after Ellis." "As my master commands, I shall obey." Brittany then looked like she was speaking to someone, when suddenly 2 cute, near-identical maids appeared. The one on the left had ruby hair, and the second one had jet black hair. The 2 maids faced him and curtsied. "Master, we are here to serve," they said in unison. "You 2 are so adorable looking. Have you chosen your names?" he asked them, laughing at their blushing faces after having him compliment them. "My name is Cindy, master," said the red-haired maid. "My name is Mindy, master," said the black-haired maid. "I have summoned the 2 of you to look after Ellis and fulfill her various requests," Han told the 2 young maids. "My lord, you don't need to go so far for me," Ellis tried to protest. "Nonsense. Just let them know if there are any foods that you're interested in eating. They will also help you with bringing you your clothes that are being made," he explained to her. Though he could have had Brittany bring Ellis various foods and stuff, he didn't feel like sharing his personal maid. While he was moving his hand around the different parts of her butt, he felt liquid dripping down her leg. Thinking for a second, Han realized that Brittany was extremely wet down there. "You are a very naughty maid," Han chuckled at Brittany. Squirming her body in embarrassment, Brittany said, "But master, your hand feels so good there. I'm sorry for being such a dirty maid." Now, I'm glad that my beautiful little Brittany is feeling so aroused. I just can't help getting a taste of your body." He gently smacked her butt, affectionately. Looking at Helania and Queen, they were looking at Brittany with jealousy, wishing they could trade places with her. With such women around, how could he not feel loved and appreciated? "Master, up ahead there is a large number of people quickly heading towards a relatively large caravan," Andrea alerted him. "How far away are they?" he asked in response. "It is about 30 miles in front of us. What are your orders?" Han leaned back into his chair to think about this, whether they should help these strangers or not. The question wasn't whether they were able to assist them, it was whether this kind of support would be beneficial to his enjoyment. He was hoping to head to a relatively large village and see if the people there were better than the place Ellis came from. Shrugging his shoulders, Han commanded, "Speed up and catch up to them. If something happens before we can get there, then it's none of my concern." Han could sense the carriage speeding up to fairly dangerous speeds. Inside the carriage, there was no change, so none of the others knew that they were racing down the road towards a fight. When he arrived, the idea of using the word fight was silly, considering how it'd be more like a slaughter.